I would like to welcome all the listeners of this program broadcasted by Radio Tha Sanchar in coordination of Hetauda Academy. It's me, Man Singh Lama from Hetauda Academy. Today I am going to explain the second lesson of physics from science of grade 8. The name of the lesson is motion. Let's go. So, my dear students, on the earth we find all the objects in two conditions. Either they are in motion or they are at rest. So you might have seen many objects, they move from one place to another, whereas some objects they remain at their own position. So we can say some objects are in motion and some are at rest. So I would like to define motion. The object which changes its position with respect to its surrounding is known as in motion. Again, I want to repeat, the object which changes its position with respect to its surrounding is said to be in motion, whereas the objects which do not change their position with respect to their surrounding are known as at rest. So again, I want to repeat, motion, the object which changes its position with respect to its surrounding is said to be in motion, whereas the object which does not change its position with respect to its surrounding is said to be at rest. So my dear students, if we elaborate this definition, it goes like this. Suppose you are going to school by your school bus. When your school bus reaches to your bus stop, you just get into the bus. Then your bus starts to move. Then after some time, the bus leaves your bus stop and it reaches to your destination. It means at first you were at your bus stop, but now you are going to reach towards your school. It means you have changed your position with respect to the bus stop. So we can say that you are in motion. At the meantime, the bus is also in motion. But if the body does not change its position with respect to its surrounding, then it is said to be at rest. You might have seen the trees, the houses, the hills, they are always in their own position. They never change their position. So these are the examples of body which are at rest. So I hope you might have understood the definition of motion and rest. Again, we find motion in two types. Some objects, they always cover equal distance at equal interval of time, whereas some objects they don't cover equal distance at equal interval of time. So on behalf of that, motion is of two types. They are uniform motion and non-uniform motion. Non-uniform motion is also known as variable motion. So you might have seen or you might have experienced in your everyday life, there are some objects, they always move equal distance at equal interval of time. So can you tell me, my dear students, can you guess which objects are those? Okay, so let me tell you, if you see the hands of your watch, you can see they always cover equal distance at equal interval of time. It means the hands of watch are always in uniform motion. But if you see a vehicle running on the road, it never goes in uniform motion, because according to the condition of traffic, if the traffic is loose, then the vehicle may go in more speed. But if there is crowd, if the traffic is more, then the speed decreases. It means the car or the vehicles, they never go in uniform motion. They are always in non-uniform motion. So similarly, there are many objects in the universe who are in uniform motion and non-uniform motion. So can you think other examples of uniform motion and non-uniform motion? Okay, so some objects which are always in uniform motion are the planets. The planets in the universe, they always move around the sun, but their motion is always uniform. They never increase their speed or decrease their speed, or they never sometimes covering more distance or sometimes covering less distance. They always cover equal distance at equal interval of time. That's why the motion of planets, the motion of stars, the motion of hands of clock, they are in uniform motion. Whereas the flowing of water in river, the flying of birds, the blowing of wind, a man walking on the road, players playing in the playground are some example of variable motion or non-uniform motion. So, my dear students, I think you might have concluded that in uniform motion, an object always covers equal distance at equal interval of time, and in non-uniform motion, an object never covers equal distance at equal interval of time. So now, my dear students, I am going to explain the two quantities. They are vector and scalar quantities. So vector quantities are those physical quantities which possess both the magnitude and direction, whereas scalar quantities are those physical quantities which possess magnitude but they don't possess any direction. I am again repeating you. Vector quantities are those physical quantities which possess both magnitude as well as direction, whereas scalar quantity are those physical quantities which possess only magnitude but no any direction. So my dear students, you might have thinking, what does magnitude mean? What is magnitude? Okay, so if I ask you to measure the length of your room, then you measure the length by using a measuring device like measuring tape. So after measuring the length, if I ask you what is the length, you will express me, sir, it is 3 meter. Then here 3 meter is the magnitude. Similarly, when a vehicle moves with the velocity of 50 meter per second, here 50 meter per second is the magnitude. So magnitude is simply a value. So vector quantity, they possess both the magnitude as well as direction, whereas scalar quantity, they possess magnitude but they don't possess any direction. So there are many objects, there are many quantities which are vector and scalar. For example, velocity, force, weight, these are the example of vector quantities. Your displacement is also an example of vector quantity, whereas work, energy, power, distance, pressure, these are some examples of scalar quantity. So if somebody asks you velocity is a vector quantity, justify or give reason, then your answer might be like this. Velocity is a vector quantity because it possesses both magnitude as well as direction. Similarly, work is a scalar quantity, then your answer will be work is a scalar quantity because it possesses only magnitude but not any direction. Okay, I can explain you why force is a vector quantity. So my dear students, if we take a very simple example, like while opening or closing the door, suppose you are going to close the door, then you apply the force in a particular direction. Similarly, when you open the door, you again apply the force in a particular direction. Like that, when you push or pull any object, while pushing, you apply your force away from you, whereas when you pull an object, you apply force towards you. So here you can see when we apply force, we are applying certain amount. It may be 100 Newton, it may be 50 Newton, it may be 60 Newton, that is the magnitude. Hence you are applying it in a particular direction. So force possesses both magnitude as well as direction. So we can say force is a vector quantity. Now we have some terms in motion, that is speed and velocity. So speed, you might have seen in any vehicle, just in front of the driver there is one instrument which helps to measure the speed of the vehicle. My dear students, do you know what is that instrument called? Okay, it is called speedometer. So if you watch the speedometer carefully, you can see at the bottom of the speedometer there is mentioned kilometer per hour, and some values are written over there with certain interval like 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, in this way. So that speedometer helps to measure the speed of the vehicle. So how does it measure? Or what does it measure? Or what do you mean by kilometer per hour? So actually what happens, when any vehicle starts to move, it covers certain distance in a particular time. So that if we combine together, or if we study them together, then we can easily find out the definition of speed. So speed is defined as the distance traveled by a body per unit time. The distance traveled by a body per unit time is known as speed. Again, I am repeating, my dear students, speed is defined as the distance traveled by a body in unit time. The distance traveled by a body in unit time is known as speed, and speed is measured by speedometer. Speed is calculated, or speed is expressed in meter per second. You might have read in the first lesson measurement the standard unit, the SI unit. The SI unit of speed is meter per second, and the bigger unit, the MKS unit of speed is kilometer per hour. Again I am repeating, the SI unit of speed is meter per second, and its MKS unit is kilometer per hour. Now we go to velocity. So when a body covers certain distance in unit time in a particular direction, again I am repeating here, when a body covers certain distance in unit time in a particular direction, then it is known as velocity. Again I would like to repeat, when a body covers some distance or certain distance in unit time in a particular direction, then it is known as velocity. So my dear students, you might have seen there is some difference between speed and velocity. That is the particular direction. Speed is not linked with any direction, but velocity is always linked with a particular direction. Speed, its SI unit is meter per second. The SI unit of velocity is also meter per second. Only the difference is speed doesn't have any direction, whereas velocity has a particular direction. So how can we express velocity, or how can we give some example of velocity? Like if an object is moving in a straight line, if an object is moving along a straight line, then it never changes its direction. It goes in a particular direction. So at that time the object has velocity. But if an object moves in a zigzag path or in a curved path, then sometimes it has to change its direction. So at that time the object has got speed, that is the speed. So if someone asks you to differentiate between speed and velocity, then we can express this definition. And another is we can express speed doesn't link with any direction, but velocity is linked with particular direction. Now I am going to explain about acceleration. So you might have seen, when the road is clear, when there are very less traffic, generally the driver increases the speed. So when he increases the speed, then with time the speed goes on increasing. So in that case we can say that the vehicle is accelerating. So here accelerating means, or here acceleration means, if the velocity goes on increasing or goes on changing, we can say according to time, then we can say it's acceleration. So acceleration can be defined as the rate of change of velocity. The rate of change of velocity is known as acceleration. Again I want to repeat, The rate of change of velocity is known as acceleration, and acceleration is denoted with small a. The formula to calculate acceleration is final velocity minus initial velocity by time taken, because it is clear from the definition that the rate of change of velocity is known as acceleration. So that's why when we want to calculate acceleration, then we can use the formula final velocity minus initial velocity upon or divided by time taken. In symbolic form, acceleration a equals to v minus u by t. Here v means final velocity, u means initial velocity, and t means time taken. Acceleration is expressed in meter per second square. Acceleration is expressed in meter per second square. So I hope you might have understood what is acceleration. So you always remember, when the speed goes on increasing, there is acceleration. What happens if the traffic is more, if there is more traffic, or if the road is crowded? Then the driver, we know, automatically he decreases the speed. So when he decreases the speed, then the acceleration becomes just negative. I mean, with time the speed goes on decreasing. So there the vehicle is in retardation. So retardation is just opposite of acceleration. In acceleration, the speed goes on increasing with time, but in retardation, the speed goes on decreasing with time. So better we can say the negative acceleration is known as retardation. Again I want to repeat, the negative acceleration is known as retardation. So my dear students, we can differentiate between acceleration and retardation in this way. The rate of change of velocity is known as acceleration. The negative acceleration is known as retardation. In acceleration, the speed of vehicle goes on increasing. In retardation, the speed of vehicle goes on decreasing. But you remember, the SI unit of both acceleration and retardation is same. You can't write down their unit while differentiating acceleration and retardation. Now here I have some questions for you. The questions which I am going to read now is from the topic which I just explained you. If the question goes like this: explain with example, rest and motion are relative terms. Again I would like to repeat, rest and motion are relative terms, or rest and motion go hand to hand. Rest and motion go hand to hand. So how can you explain this with suitable examples? So here it goes like this. As I told you before, the definition of rest and motion: when a body changes its position with respect to its surrounding, it is said to be in motion. But when an object does not change its position with respect to its surrounding, it is said to be at rest. So by keeping this in mind, we can elaborate or we can justify this question. Actually, we can say an object is in motion only when we compare the object with its surrounding, or we can say an object is at rest only when we compare it with other object. That is why rest and motion goes hand to hand, or they are relative terms. It means without one, another is incomplete. So these are the things that we should keep in mind. Now let me explain you with suitable example. So we go to the example like this. Suppose you are traveling by a bus, or suppose you are going to your school by your school bus. So when you sit inside the bus, all your friends, they are sitting in their own places, and the bus is moving forward and forward and forward towards the destination. So when we compare ourselves with the outer surrounding, with the surrounding which is outside the bus, like the trees, the houses and others, if we compare ourselves with the outer surrounding, then we are changing our position. It means we are in motion. But if we compare ourselves, if we compare with each other, if you compare yourself with your friends, or if your friend compares himself with you, then they are always at rest because they haven't changed their position with respect to each other. It means they are at rest. So here we can see you are both in two states at the same time. You are in motion according to the outer surrounding. You are at rest according to your friend, according to the position of your friend. It means here you show both the condition, rest as well as motion. That is why it is clear that rest and motion are relative terms. Now I would like to explain you about uniform velocity. So my dear students, I already told you uniform motion. When a body covers equal distance at equal interval time, it is said to be in uniform motion. So uniform velocity also can be defined in the same way. When a body covers equal distance at equal interval of time in a particular direction. Again I am repeating. When a body covers equal distance at equal interval of time in a particular direction, it is said to be in uniform velocity. But if a body does not cover equal distance at equal interval of time in a particular direction, then it is said to be in non-uniform velocity or variable velocity. The examples I have already given you. So my dear students, you always remember, when a body travels in uniform velocity, then its velocity never changes. I can give a simple example. Suppose you are traveling from your home to your school, and from your home to school there is certain distance. Let us divide the distance into three parts: A to B, B to C, and C to D. A is your bus stop and D is your destination, I mean school. So when your bus is traveling, suppose your bus is traveling from A to D, I mean from your bus stop to your school, from your bus stop to your school. Suppose when the bus travels from A to B, it takes 5 seconds and it covers a distance of 50 meters. Like that, suppose the bus takes again another 5 seconds from B to C and it covers the same 50 meters. Again finally, suppose the bus takes same 5 seconds from C to D, and here also the bus takes 50 meters. So this is an example of uniform velocity, because you can see in this example the bus is traveling equal distance at equal interval of time. So the bus is in uniform velocity. But if the bus at the first condition from A to B travels 100 meters in 5 seconds, from B to C 50 meters in 5 seconds, from C to D, I mean finally 150 meters in 5 seconds, then we can see here the bus is traveling different distances at equal interval of time. I mean to say the bus is not traveling equal distances at equal interval of time. So here the bus is in non-uniform velocity. So it is clear that when an object travels in uniform velocity, its velocity never changes, it remains similar. But when the body or when any object travels in non-uniform velocity or in variable velocity, its velocity goes on changing. It never remains same. So my dear students, I have already revised the above taught terms for you. So for today's class this much. Thank you everybody.